All right, guys, this video is on the spraying update. There's going to be some tips and obviously some updates in this video. When you do the method that I'm doing, where you have the pump and you're manually walking through the plot, it is very easy to miss places. So right here is a place that I missed. The pigweed is not dead. I have some reason completely missed that, even though I've got spray all around here. Apparently I didn't hose that down enough, or I just wasn't paying a bit of attention when I was spraying, because I was getting pretty tired. Work kind of drained me when I was up here on this part of the plot. But if you miss something, depending on what type of weed it is, that's fine. The plot does not have to be perfect, but there are certain weeds that you need to take care of. And that is pigweed. You don't want this seeding out. You're going to regret it if you do. So pigweed needs to go. Morning coffee has to go. I've also going to have to change my food plot strategy in order to counter morning coffee for the next spring and summer crop. So my screen wall, which looks terrible, and it does for a reason, I have not cared for it, because it has become a breeding ground for the morning coffee weed. And it's not going to help my plot if I'm trying to become spray free when I keep allowing the screen wall to let that reseed back out into the plot. I'm not going to get anywhere unless I can completely eradicate it out of the plot. So the screen wall will be a thing of the past, as temporary, I should say. Once I feel that the morning coffee has been eradicated and the pigweed is gone, I will bring the screen wall back. Granted, screen walls are very important to me, but in order to progress the plot, I'm going to have to sacrifice the screen wall. So I'm going to have to rely on really tall growth throughout the plot. And because I have restored the ground down here, I can get that, and it works as a screen for now until I can get this thing in shape the way I want it. But I want to show you a couple of spots here, especially down here. Over here, look at how good my vetch plot looks now. Now there are places I missed. There's a couple of patches of weeds in there that I need to take care of. I also have a serious problem popping up. Because of my screen wall, it has allowed morning coffee to seed out right there. And that has now turned into a whole cluster of morning coffee. If I don't take care of it now, it's going to rapidly spread down this way, and it's off to the races with that stuff. So that's going to be glyphosated and removed. Dang bee. Sorry about that. Had a bee fly up in my face. So I'm going to remove that. And it's going to make a bald spot in here, but that's okay. I have to remove this. This is a must remove for me. Same thing if I saw pigweed pop up in there. It's going to get glyphosate. It's done. I don't want it coming back. Other places right here. Actually, I want to show something else here real quick. My vetch, which is right here, you can see the spray has affected it a little bit. I generally find the poorer your ground is, the greater the effect is on the plants. But this vetch is now entering a rapid growth stage. We have finally gotten over all the small growth. But I had to fertilize it twice. If you saw my other video, I put out 50 pounds of triple 15. I came out here afterwards, I sprayed the plot. Then I came back and added an additional 50 pounds of fertilizer to override the stunt stage. And I can tell already this has paid off, because I waited and used half a dose the first time, and then I finished it off with the other half after the spray. And to me, I've had much better success when I do that, because now that the weeds are bitten back or dead, that stuff with the fertilizer will rapidly grow, and the weeds don't get a foothold after that. So over here, I've actually threw a whole bunch of the vetch in my experimental strip here just to see how well it would grow under no fertilizer, under restored ground. And we are booking it. Much bigger than anywhere else. This has become a solid mat. The soybean's gonna get choked out if you ain't careful. Probably will. But that vetch has definitely taken off into a high gear. I have not seen browse on this yet. It is a new plant now, and sometimes deer are hesitant to jump on this, but deer actually love this stuff. So once my deer get accustomed to seeing it and they start eating a little bit here and there, they'll probably take off and start mowing it down. Out here we have a good kill off, and some stunt in the soybean is showing up here. So sometimes spray will affect them. It may not necessarily kill them, but it can turn the leaves odd color sometimes. Very good okra plant right there. No fertilizer, and that looks fantastic. There's one of the, I believe this is mung bean. I may be wrong. This is either mung bean or cowpea. Heck, they almost look alike sometimes. But no fertilizer. That looks fantastic. Super green. See, I missed here. I'm going to come back in and destroy that. That pigweed right there. Stand it up. It's about 5 feet. That's real close. And it's almost ready to seed out. So tomorrow I'm going to hit that. We're going to get rid of that. Soybean is trying to come in back in here. Deer browsed it off. Second I sprayed this out, I saw soybean popping up all through it, and deer come in and browsed it. So it looks really thin right now, but it's actually pretty thick. It's just stemmy right now. There's my experimental strip. Really coming on strong. No spray needed there. I can't spray it anyway because I'll kill it. It's not spray resistant. And that's why I was a little nervous about trying that. But hey, it's working. Over here we have section 3, which has been 6 years in restoration. And this place right here with no fertilizer is really ramping up. Look at all that hidden soybean that was under there. You can see it plain as day now. There are spots I missed. And in this case, it's a big deal to me because it's covered with morning coffee. So all these green blobs that have morning coffee still growing in them, I got to come back and hit it. I cannot afford to let any of that seed out. Same thing over there. I've got a spot that showed it was dying, and then it stopped dying. Now it's greening back up. I didn't get a hard enough shot of that stuff to kill it, so I'm going to hit it again. I probably should have put a stronger misty stream on it, and I didn't. The soybean down here in this whole area is now showing signs it's ready to take off. There is a remarkable leaf size jump occurring here, and at one point these were all browsed completely off, and now they've leafed back out. The deer haven't really hit this spot here, which is fine. I don't mind some areas that not hit at all, but now you can see they're jumping. We're really starting to leap here in leaf sizes. So the soybean is getting ready to explode in here. It is now freed up and ready to go. I'm very excited. Now generally guys, this is way behind my normal pace right now. All this soybean that I usually grow is either 2 to 2.5 feet tall by this point. And because of drought, groundhogs, combination of deer browse, this plot had a terrible start. But you can see now we're fixing to play catch up here. This soybean is on the clock as far as the amount of sunlight it gets, and that's kind of the key for soybean when it knows it needs to grow, and then when it knows it needs to flower out. And right now the daylight hours are going to start declining, so the soybean is going to grow rapidly. This will probably be between now and August. This will be the fastest it grows. And hopefully I've got enough time to get this 4 or 5 feet tall. If I can get anything above that, that's icing on the cake for me. Over here's another nice okra plant. See, this strategy where I held the soybean under some taller weeds, this has paid off big for me. You don't have to do that. That's just something that I like to experiment with when it comes time to spray. I like to kind of push the envelope on a few things. Look at that okra plant. No fertilizer. That is one healthy looking okra plant. Again, this is also a new species that I have introduced into the plot. And the deer are afraid to hit it right now. At some point, they will hit this when they're ready to give it a try. But that is some really thick stems and stalks in here. That is going to be one big beefy okra plant by the time it's all said and done. And probably will grow taller than me. I'd say this one's on pace for 6-7 feet. Could grow higher than that if I'm lucky. But I like what I'm seeing here, especially under restored ground with no fertilizer. Back in the day when I first started this plot, I would have been jumping for joy if I saw soybean looking like that without fertilizer. I had terrible looking soybean. Absolutely terrible. Now I've got an okra plant over here somewhere. I pulled him up. There he is. I wanted to test the taproot's ability to penetrate a hard pan soil. And that plant did it. The root broke off, unfortunately, but it was below the hard pan. So this plant has a strong enough root to penetrate a hard pan soil. There was all kinds of little nodulars on here. They were mainly right in there. Those were bacteria nodulars. And because my ground down here is covered with them, this would have been another stellar okra plant in the future. But the okra is a little bit thick here, and I don't mind to pull some of this up to do some demonstration purposes. I'm actually not hurting the plot. I'm probably going to help it a little bit because I like soybean to be my dominant feature, but I still want enough variety in here to improve the soil. So some places this okra come up a little bit thick, and probably at some point would shade it out my soybean. See, like right here, I don't really like seeing a lot of clusters together. So I may, let's see here. This one here is going to hurt more soybean than the others. Let's take a look at it. All right, you can see how the root initially struggled to penetrate, how it's got that crook in it. Most likely that grew on a rock. That really looks like it was laying on a rock. But the taproot did grow around and was going to penetrate the hard pan. It broke off, so it did penetrate it. Okra has some strong taproots in it. Let's see, here's another one. I'll pull him up. Or break him off. That one's in there good. No biggie. He'll either resprout or die. One of the two. I just don't mind removing some of this. Yeah, this one here is growing next to a soybean plant. Let's try one more. Now that one come up a lot easier. All right, so we have a taproot that wasn't quite making it. Sure looked like it was going to try, but again, this could have laid on a rock. As many rocks as in here, I'd be about willing to bet the farm on it. We have all kinds of ants burrowing in around that. Healthy root system somewhat. But yeah, well, okra can do it, guys. It can penetrate hard pans. Of course, I bet you if I pulled that great old big one up, it'd have a monster taproot on it. But there you go, guys. The spraying worked. I also, now not down here I didn't, but in other places, I actually fertilized the soybean up here, especially in section 1. It got another 100 pounds of fertilizer put up there. I try to do that to override soybean stunt. This right here is the first year I'm not going to fertilize, and I'm wanting to see how the soybean responds. I'm trying my best not to fertilize this, and if I can't get the growth I want, I may be forced to. But so far, everything's looking pretty darn good. All right, so that's the end of the spray video. Plenty of dead weeds in here. The plot is about to turn the corner. Have a good one.